So welcome back to the fourth part on the topic, does God exist? So Albert Einstein said, I believe in God who reveals himself in the orderly harmony of the universe. The basics of scientific work is the conviction that the world is an ordered and comprehensible entity and not a thing of chance. Science must learn to live in harmony with all these magnificent gifts of God to humanity. So beautiful statement by Einstein. Now, what should be the important duty of every intelligent person in this world? Number one, he should use one's intelligence to appreciate the inconceivable brain of the Lord. Number two, to glorify the mysteries of the Lord's creation and energy. To create worldwide spiritual awareness. To understand and explain the purpose of Lord's creation. So, I call it as no God, no peace, and no God, no peace. So interestingly, in this world, the information about our spiritual identity, the information about God, the information about the creation, all these things are very important. Unfortunately, when we go to schools and colleges, there are no departments which explain about God, about the human values of life. So that's why I was saying how education means, it is coming from the root word called educare from Latin, which means to bring out something which is already there inside. So simple analogy is explained, like for example, when I wanted to drive a car, first I went to a tutor, so driving class. So I was completely bewildered how someone can drive car, because you sit inside the car and 3 feet there is a bumper where you can't see the road, and how to drive. I was perplexed. But when I went to the driving class, they taught me everything. So then within 2 days I was able to drive very nicely. I think all of you might have experienced this situation. So the point here is, the ability to drive was already there inside. But this education from the tutor helped me to bring that ability out. So that is the purpose of education. So education means there is something already there inside and we have to bring it out. So I give the example of a seed. So is there a tree in the seed? Yes or no? Answer is yes and no. Because we can't see the tree inside the seed, it is completely unimaginable. But the seed, when it is sown, when you sow the seed and put water, give protection, give food, nurture it very nicely, the same seed will become sapling, then it becomes plant, then it becomes a tree, and it gives shades, it gives fruit, flowers and everything. So how this happened? It is because of the nurture. And I call education means it is actually nurturing the person. So in the current situation, people think education means it is just information. But unfortunately, education is not just information. Education means it is transformation of the heart. If by education, if our heart is not transformed, then what is the use of that education? So that's why I say during our school days, there was a special subject called moral science, where teachers would teach us some important values of life through these subjects. But unfortunately, those subjects stopped after 5th standard. Now if you go to engineering college, there are so many branches in engineering: civil, mechanical, computer science, electricals, electronics, information science, and so on. So every college has different departments, and there is no department for spiritual education. There is no department to help us understand the values of life, and there is no department which helps us to understand what is the purpose of life. So don't you think this kind of knowledge, this understanding, this kind of education is required in this world? Definitely we need all these things. but unfortunately these subjects are not taught. Nobody speaks about God, nobody speaks about the purpose of life, nobody speaks about the transformation of the heart. All of us, we are just satisfied with physics, chemistry, maths, accounts, zoology, botany and all these things. So the scriptures actually tells us there are two kinds of vidya. What are the two kinds of vidya? Number one, it is Udara Poshana Vidya, and number two, it is Atma Poshana Vidya. What is Udara Poshana Vidya? Udara Poshana Vidya means, Udara means belly, Poshana means to satisfy, to nurture it. So Udara Poshana Vidya is that vidya, that knowledge, that education which helps us to just fill our belly. Meaning, so Udara Poshana Vidya helps us to take care of our basic needs of life, that is food, clothing, shelter, roti, kapda, makan, right? I always make a joke that I am from a Bangalore, which is a metropolitan city, and there are a lot of, it is a IT hub. So people across the globe, they come to Bangalore to study or to work, to earn their daily bread and butter. So people from all over India and outside India, they come to Bangalore to get their daily bread and butter, and they get jam free. What is that? The traffic jam free. So this is Udara Poshana Vidya. So this Vidya, what we learn in schools and colleges, definitely is important, and it will help us to earn our livelihood. But is that sufficient? No. So what we need is Atma Poshana Vidya. So Atma Poshana Vidya means spiritual knowledge, spiritual education, spiritual training. So when we learn this Atma Poshana Vidya, then we get satisfaction. That is why most of the people in this world, they are studied, they are rank holders, they are toppers in their schools and colleges, and they are working in IT culture, but unfortunately they are not happy. Why they are not happy? Because they are competent in what they are doing, but they are not satisfied. So there are people who are very rich, stinking rich, they have a lot of money, they have a lot of wealth, they are beautiful, handsome, everything they have in their life, but there is no satisfaction. Let me tell you an interesting story. So all of you might have heard a very famous person called Mr. Boeing. So Mr. Boeing, they have the company where they have flights. They manufacture flights and they have their own company. So Mr. Boeing, he was actually from a very, very poor family. So he struggled hard and worked very hard, and finally he became very rich and he started his own flight company. They manufacture flights. So he became so famous that all the TV channels, newspapers, they would come for interview. So in one such interview, Mr. Boeing was sitting and a reporter was asking questions, and she asked a very, very significant question. You want to know? The reporter asked, Mr. Boeing, you are on the top of the world. You are very rich, you are very powerful personality in this world. Now I have a question for you. Right now, what is the most important thought which is going on in your mind? Can you please tell? And this program, this interview was broadcasted live. Whole world is watching this interview, and Mr. Boeing says, the most important thought in my mind right now is, when will I go to toilet next? And people were taken aback, and the lady said, sir, what are you saying? And at that interview, Mr. Boeing explained, actually I have developed a problem in my urinary tract. Every time I go to pass water, it is so painful, excruciating pain. So that is why I am very much worried whenever I get a signal to attend the nature call. So this is what, even though this person is rich, he has money, everything, but the satisfaction is not there. So that is why we should not focus just on Udara Poshana Vidya, but we should focus on Atma Poshana Vidya. That is why I say no God and no peace, no God, no peace. What exactly is the meaning? First, no God is K-N-O-W, no God. And no God and no peace, understand peace. And N-O, no God, N-O, no peace. Thank you very much.